Welcome to the Homeschool Lounge. My guest is Wendy Meijer. She has reached the end of her home education journey, with her youngest just having completed his GED. Wendy, welcome. When did you start with home education?
Think it was about 97 or 98, somewhere around about there, 1998, when my oldest was about 3.
So you home educated them from beginning right through to the end.
Yes, we did. The youngest one attended preschool for grade R for 1 year, and with the view that if it didn't work, we would bring him home. And it worked to the extent that he told me he loves his teacher more than he loves me. But when he came home, he was quite happy to come home for grade 1. But that was because I needed to do a little bit of part-time work that year, and I felt I couldn't give him, all the creative stuff that I felt he needed at that stage.
Now you have 3 children. How did you manage to teach them all?
I think that the easiest way when they were small was I always taught at the level of the oldest child. We were reading aloud, which we did a lot of. They would all listen to the stories. And, I would then provide something for the younger one to do, to play with, do a puzzle or something if I was busy with the older one doing something. I always say it was a buy two, get one free situation, because my third child, I never taught him how to read. He just put it together and started reading.
The school setup didn't work for your eldest when he
No,
was in preschool.
yeah. And he was adamant that he was not going back. Years later, we found out that this boy would get him at the top of the slide and then not let him go down and things like that. So he knew that that was not for him.
Mm. What was your biggest challenges when you home educated?
Um, everybody talks about the socialization challenge. The children joined into all sorts of different groups, sports wise. There was always something on the go. So definitely not the socialization. And my eldest one was teaching karate for kids for 5-year-olds when he was about 14 years old. I think maybe the biggest challenge was figuring out the path for each one. Each of them did a different thing, and it was kind of working that out. And there was trial and error along the way there. I would say that was probably the biggest challenge.
And what do you see as the biggest advantage or benefit?
I would say that all 3 of my children have been able to relate very well across the spectrum with ages, right from little kids up through to adults and elderly people. And I think that that's definitely been a benefit. I think that what has also been great is that they were able to pursue their passions. My daughter is very arty, and she was able to dedicate a lot of time to art. She ran sort of little art and craft classes for younger children who were homeschooled, so they could generate their own income. As I said, my oldest son was involved with karate and teaching karate and also generating income that way from quite a young age. And so, they were able to pursue what they wanted to and give it time. There was no homework, which was, I would say, a big advantage. When we were done for the day, we were done for the day. And also being able to explore whatever we wanted to. I remember when they were quite a bit younger, just trying to think, we did a whole Olympics sort of unit study. And they learned about the different countries and made the different food, and we watched the Olympics, and we could give a lot of time to that. and never mind the other things which you think they should be doing in school on a particular day. Like if we didn't do maths that week, it was fine. You know, we could just dive right into whatever we wanted to. The other one that they really enjoyed when they were much younger was sort of medieval period and castles and things. And we built a massive castle, and we had a feast with friends, and the girls dressed up in beautiful dresses, and you know, the kids were at the head of the table, and they were, you know, the higher up people, and we were the peasants at the table as the adults. And you know, it was just such an amazing time of just diving right into whatever we wanted to. So yeah, that was really good. Good memories.
What advice can you give parents who are just starting out on their home education journey?
Can be so much fun, you know. I think one stresses out quite a lot about whether they are actually doing enough work. We lived in East Africa for a little while, and when we were there, I was like, oh, I'm not doing Afrikaans because I don't know if we're coming back to South Africa. And we came back to South Africa, and my kids had a little bit of Afrikaans, but not much. And then my oldest son, he did the Cambridge, so we needed for his IGCSEs to do Afrikaans, and we dived in big time then. Despite having not had years and years and years of Afrikaans, which they found difficult in the beginning. You know, when their brains were ready, they managed it, they did it, and they did well. So I would say, you know, especially when they're young, don't stress too much about the academics, you know, because it does come. It really does. And I think that the other thing, if I look back, what I would have done better is keep a better record. For example, my daughter now is going to study in Australia, and she needed a transcript for her high school. So I would just say, you know, just keep a record somewhere of what you've done, the books you've read, the courses they've done. At the end of a year, say for example, mine did Matthew C when they were younger, just go through the book, see what their test results were, and give them a score. You know, it's not about the actual scores. Obviously, you want them to do nicely, but it's just for yourself in case you need to provide information on what you've actually done. Because at the end of the day, if they are going to study somewhere else, you are going to need that. And it's not about being schoolish or whatever. It's about just being able to provide the information when you need to. Because it was quite a thing to now suddenly try and find everything. And yes, we managed to do it, but we didn't have enough.
What encouragement can you give to parents who are feeling a bit demotivated or frustrated?
Yeah, that can happen. I would say if it's a nice day, go to the beach and have some fun and let it out. Enjoy the kids. You don't have to sit behind a desk and a table all day doing school work. There is so much more to be done. Even just picking a theme and making a fun meal that everybody will enjoy or whatever. Don't be so stressed out about it because it's really not worth it. And, you know, I've seen with each of my three who are so individually different in their strengths and weaknesses that each one has come out at the end and done well. And I think that very often one sits and you worry and you worry. And I think, you know, speak to people who've been on the path, who've done it. And we all actually need each other because it's not something that most of us have done before. And if you need a break, take a break. You don't have to stick to the school terms. You know, it's not about being schoolish. It's about learning and life being a learning opportunity. And don't be hard on yourself. I remember with my daughter at about age 8 or 9, she suddenly, I would say to, okay, here's your language arts, do numbers 1 through to 5. And I knew she could read perfectly, and I knew she could understand, and she looked at it and she didn't know what to do. And I thought, but what's wrong with you? You know how to read, you know what you're doing. And every day it was just a meltdown. And eventually I phoned the curriculum provider, and the advice from them was, put the book away. So I was like, oh, how can I do that, you know? So we put the book away. And I can't remember how long we put it away for, but it was quite some time. And when we picked it up again, she was able to carry on. So even if you're not progressing at the rate that you think you should be, or what the kids at school are doing, or what your friends are doing, that's okay, because they will get there. And with her, I found that what she actually needed was for me to read the question out to her, because she was an auditory learner. And I was expecting her to read it and understand it and do it, but she actually needed me there by her side, reading it to her, even though she could read perfectly. So I think it's good to understand the way your children learn as well, um, so that they can learn in the way that best suits them. I don't know if that's helpful.
Oh, that is so helpful and encouraging. Wendy, thank you very much